to Libratum Vita. My name is Brooke, and today we're going to talk about the passage of time and how you can actually gain somewhat of a control over your own perspective of time. This might sound a little bit crazy, as many of us feel as though this is something completely out of our control, that oftentimes we feel when times are good, the time passes way too quickly, and when things are bad, it just seems to drag on and on. But I am here to tell you that there is a way through mental focus that you can actually control your own perception of time. We've all heard the saying, time flies when you're having fun, and this does seem to be true, doesn't it? When we're having a good time, it just seems to fly by so quickly, and it's over before we even know it, and we find ourselves missing whatever that moment was. But I'm here to tell you that there is a way to challenge your perspective of time and gain control over it. As I've said before, control is somewhat of an illusion, so maybe that word isn't the best, but what you do have control over is your own perspective and your own mind. So all the work that we do here is going to be based on controlling your own thoughts and emotions and how you can use that to your advantage and how you can use that to better improve your outside life. It interestingly does affect your outside life much more than one might think. So let's start with an example. Let's say maybe you're out with your friends at your favorite restaurant and you're just having the best night. And you're just wishing to yourself that this would never end. Well, here's the problem. The moment you start thinking about how you wish it wouldn't end, you are focusing your attention on the event being over. As I mentioned in a previous video, things only exist and have value if you view them too. And the same applies to time. So if you view time in a certain interval, then it will portray itself to you in that interval. However, whatever you focus your attention to, you will gravitate more of that thing towards you. So if we focus our attention on thinking that the event is going to be over so soon because we know from our past experience that when times are good, they fly by too quickly, we focus our attention on that concept and believe it to be true, and we attract that into our experience. So before we know it, the experience is over and we're left missing it. So rather than focusing our attention on the quickness of time, let's focus it on the slowness of time, because it is all in your perspective. Time is completely relative. So if we are having a wonderful time and we don't want it to end, it's completely natural for us to have that thought that we don't want it to end. But what we can do to try to combat this is to try as quickly as possible to move away from that thought and bring in more thoughts that will prolong your experience. So try to build this idea in your mind that you do have a sort of control over your own passage of time. Try to think less of it as an objective entity and more so as your own perception. What you do have control over is your own perception, always. So think to yourself that you are able to prolong this experience if you do choose. And once you have planted that thought into your head, you can now move on to finding the details of all of the parts of this event that you are enjoying. So it is so easy for us to get caught up in certain things and just think, wow, this is great, and just kind of move through it so quickly. But when we really focus our attention on all those small details, this is something that we've even mentioned before in the appreciation exercise. It is so very useful to us because we really get down to the details of everything that we truly enjoy in this moment, and we really savor it longer. It really allows us to, for one, prolong the experience, at least in our own perspective, and two, find even more enjoyment out of it than we previously thought we could. As great as it might have been, we're finding ourselves enjoying even more because we're looking for all those things that we love. And this applies to if you are trying to speed up the passage of time. And let's say, for instance, you are very bored. This would happen to me a lot when I was a kid, because as kids, our perception of time, again, is relative to our age. So, as you've probably heard your parents say, as you get older, time flies faster and faster every year. And again, this is because it is relative. So let's say, for instance, when you are maybe a 5-year-old, you only have 5 years of experience in this life. And so everything that you experience is relative to that timeline. Let's say 1 year feels like an eternity to you because your entire experience to this date has only been 5 years. So that's a whole fifth of your life. So at that point in time, it feels so long. But once you hit age maybe 50, a year seems to go by so very quickly because it's relative to how long your experience has been in this life. And so that's only a 50th of your total experience. And so it therefore feels extremely short because relative to all the things you've experienced so far, that's only a very small portion of your life. And so for this reason, when we're young, we often find ourselves struggling with boredom and wishing that things would pass, and maybe we're sitting in class and just wishing it would be over. But once you do gain your perspective over this relativity of time, you can kind of allow yourself to speed up those not so great times, at least just a little bit through your own mental focus. Once you put this idea into your head and remember, oh yes, this is not something that is objective, this is something that I am perceiving due to my own past experiences and my own time here in this life. Once you have that idea, you can focus more so on the things that you would rather be doing. So instead of thinking to yourself, gosh, I wish this was over, you're putting your attention into thinking that this is going to last longer than you want it to. So try to pull yourself away from that thought and bring yourself into the thought of, I do have some control over my perception, and because I am not fully enjoying what I'm doing at this moment, I am going to think about the things that I can bring closer to me instead. Rather than focus on the things I don't want, I want to focus on the things that I do want. So similar to the idea of attraction that we have spoken about before, if we focus our attention on the things that we do want, we will pull those closer towards us. So let's instead start to focus our attention on what we're going to do after this is done, and think about how quickly we're going to get there. Think about how, relative to the rest of your life, how quickly whatever this event is that you don't like will be over. Think about the parts even that you do enjoy about this event. I know maybe if you're in something very difficult, it's not always easy to do so, but if you are really struggling with focusing your attention on the speeding up of time, it can really help you just to focus on the good things that are available to you in that moment so that it doesn't feel so much like it's dragging. You'll focus more so on those things, and before you know it, it'll be over and you'll be moving on to that thing that you wanted to do instead. Lastly, another concept I wanted to cover related to this is the idea that we often feel as though we don't have enough time in our day to do all the things that we need and or want to do. This is extremely common. I hear people say it every day, and I myself have experienced it many times before. And it does become difficult with how busy our lives get. It can be hard to fit in all of the things that we need to do in a day. Now, I'm not going to try to tell you that you can prolong each and every day as long as you like, and you can accomplish all of your major goals within 24 hours. That's truly not possible. we do have to be reasonable about the amount of things we can get done in a day. So I'm not going to get that extravagant, but there is a way that we can find ourselves manipulating our frame of mind so that we can feel as though we are satisfied with the amount of things that we are able to fit within each and every day of our lives. Number one, this might seem like a simple thing, but it's something we often overlook because we think we don't have to do it. If you make a list of all the things that you need to do throughout your week, this will help you a lot. Whether you're writing it down or just making a mental list in your head, whatever works best for you, I think this really does help a lot. We do need some sort of planning so that we are able to get all the things done that we need and want to. If we don't plan it, it can be a bit more difficult, and we find ourselves forgetting about, oh shoot, I meant to do this, but I didn't have time to. So before anything else, it's really good for us to start off our week of planning out the things that we should do, and also to be realistic about it too. Think about the things that you can fit within each day and how you want to split that up between your entire week, and be realistic about the things that you can fit within your day. I myself, when I started doing this, would plan so many things for myself each and every day that it was a little bit crazy, and that's not a bad thing to be kind of an overachiever like that, but it can be stressful. So you do want to kind of pull back if you notice yourself doing that. Once I noticed that, I found a good rhythm, and I found out how many things I realistically could get done in a day, and manipulated my schedule based on that. So it'll take some getting used to. I don't think it's a bad thing to put a lot of things on your plate though. I do think it's great to challenge yourself, and the more things you end up doing each and every day of the week, the more you'll find yourself able to do more things. It's a really strange paradox, but the less you do, the less you feel like you have time to do things, because we get stuck in this mindset of, well, I don't have time for that. And again, if you focus your attention on that thought, you will attract the speeding of time in your own perception, and you will not have time to do all of those things that you wanted to do, and you therefore will not schedule as many things for yourself, and therefore will not do as many things, and will become less satisfied with your life experience because you feel as though you don't have time, or you are not doing the things that you want to do. So create that schedule for yourself, make it realistic, and as time goes on and you find yourself getting through your schedule quicker and easier, you'll find that you'll want to add more to it. If you don't need to do any more things and you have fit everything into your schedule you need to, this is where it gets good. This is where you can start adding in all those extracurricular activities, those hobbies that you never felt like you had time for before. Again, if you focus your attention on thinking that you're the kind of person who's able to get a lot of things done and you can figure out how to make it fit, eventually you will figure out how to, and you'll be finding yourself with more time to do the things you want to do. I know that this might sound difficult or like it might not work just because of the previous ideas that we have set in our heads of how this works, but I challenge you to just give it a try and see if it works for you. If it doesn't, that's fine, but I have experienced this myself and have found myself so much more satisfied with the things that I'm able to get done and the time that I have even for myself now. There was a time when I felt like all I did was work and I didn't have time to do any of the things I wanted to do. And when I focused my attention on that, I found myself with less and less time and with less satisfaction. So when I learned about how to mentally focus in this sort of perspective, I was able to do so much more, and I find myself so much more excited and so much more satisfied with the things I am doing and the things that I want to do, and I keep on striving for more and more. And I hope that you can find this too, and that's truly all I want, is to share the things that I have found that worked for me and some of the people in my life experience who have shared this as well. And I would love for you to be able to do all of the things that you want to do. No matter what that is, I want you to be able to have control over your mind and your perspective, to get all of those things done, to do all the things you want to do in your life experience, because life is short and we don't want to spend it thinking that we're not able to do the things we want to do. You always have control over yourself and your mind, and this life is yours, so do what you want with it. Well, I hope you learned something new today, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.